Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity. You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search, focus that fire. And so we come together. Join us. Join the discussion. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat. Welcome back to episode 150 of Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on November 16th over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out over to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Our topic for tonight's episode is going to be a look at the Wall of Wishes lore booklet. But first, let's run through a quick introduction of those on the show for tonight. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86. Next up, we have our own master of social media, the one and only Green-Eyed Music Lover. Green, hope you're doing well. How has the week treated you so far?
I am happy it's the weekend, and it's going to snow again this weekend.
Ew.
So, yeah. It's good stuff. It's good times. This is why I live in Colorado. Snow. No one else is excited about this?
Okay.
I'm trying. I just got snowed on yesterday. No.
That's the reason you're excited to... Never mind. Anyways, rounding out the usual team, we have the man who's known far and wide as the Destiny lore content cop, the one and only Beard Grizzly. Beard, how are you doing tonight?
Excited to actually take on that content cop title here coming up this week. Because it's gonna be good. And anyway, I'm doing good. This week's been a little weird, but what week hasn't been weird recently? Now that I think about it. Anyway, so my sister's been home, and we've been able to do some stuff together. We went out to watch Bohemian Rhapsody, as I mentioned on Top 3. We had a couple of family gatherings that happened, which was great. It's just been a little bit more like family focused lately, which has both been good and bad, because I'm just looking at my content going like, I want to make stuff. I can't really make stuff. Oh god, what's going on? But otherwise, this week has been also weird because, like I said, snow. Pennsylvania has already gotten its first snow, and it turned into like 10 inches. And I'm just like, this is the first one? What's the rest of the winter going to be like? This is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Except not great. Anyway, that's
snow
where I'm at.
At least it wasn't an ice storm for you guys, though, was it?
It turned into one.
Oh, gross. Those are the worst. Like, it starts out all nice, and then it gets real nasty.
Yep. Yeah, it was good, and then all of a sudden, like, I started seeing the radar, and it turned from snow into ice, and then it went to rain, and then it went back to snow the tail end of the evening. So it was fun. Yeah, we'll go with fun.
Well, real quick, we do actually have a special announcement. Wow. So as you guys know, we had a kind of a 3-year celebration giveaway that we ran until actually yesterday. And I went on to Gleam this afternoon, and thanks to Gleam, I just, can pull the winners really quickly. And I've already actually reached out to you guys. So if you are listening in on this one and you haven't checked your email that you provided to the Gleam site, please be sure to do that to let me know where we can send you your gifts. But John Getz, Bickford Boy, Blake Nelson, Offline Gamer 42, which I know Green was excited to see offline get that one. And Cassandra Darensberg, you guys actually won one of the prizes that we had. I'm going to try to get those out to you. Like I said, as soon as I get an address from you guys to send them out, we will be sending those out. But yeah, so big thank you again to all of you who participated in that. We had some amazing feedback that we really liked hearing. Some really good ideas to make it a little bit more accessible to those who might be brand new to the podcast and new to exploring the lore of not just Destiny, but other games as well. And so we have quite a bit to kind of quite a bit of a takeaway, and hopefully we can start implementing some of that stuff here in the near future. But yeah, that was just, I mean, again, thank you so much. The feedback that we got from that was absolutely amazing. And in regards to moving on, trying to move on a little bit quickly on that one, I believe that Green had a question for everyone this week. I know I saw it pop up over on Twitter. You actually got it up pretty early in the week, from what I remember.
I did, since it wasn't a poll. Like, polls tend to do a little better when it comes to getting responses. This one was not a poll. This one was a kind of a if you had your druthers type question. So the question was, what would you wish from the wishing wall in the raid if you could be for anything? So this is more of like a for funsies type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some fun ones, we had some sad ones, and then we had some odd ones. I'm looking at you, Man-at-Arms.
Peregrine Greaves!
Yeah, with a Titan charging towards my face. It's like, dude, no, I don't want that back. We had, let's see here, one of them, JC said she would wish for Mara she would use the wish Mara used to summon Lord Shaxx. The helmet stayed on, winky face. It's like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Alrighty then.
Grindheads was pretty funny to get all the, what was it, to wish for Spider to offer Glimmer to US dollar exchange at the rate of 1 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, somebody wants money. That's good. And then some people were a little bit more Bungie pleased with it. DJ Cantrip wished for a character editor so they don't have to delete the character every time they wanted to change the hair or makeup.
That's a fair point, actually.
Right, like beards or like a character editor of any sort. It'd be nice. Like, I want to change the tattoos on my face. My Woken tattoos I'm not digging them as much anymore, but I'm not starting over. But there was one that was just like, I wish for Cade back. A lot of really interesting ones. One would wish for true immortality. It's funny, like a lot of people were wishing for guns too. Like, I want Icebreaker.
Didn't one of them have all the titles but none of the time spent on grinding?
Yes, that was one of them. And it's like, well, easy mode, I guess. Somebody also put to get good. It's like, all right. But
I give you credit for that one. That's a fair one.
To get good.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wished for the best bowl of spicy ramen and gyoza, and then the bowl automatically refills itself. Like, there's just some fun, silly, creative ones. But yeah, it was a fun one. We had about 35 people who commented on it or commented on somebody else's stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a nice and easy one this week. Nothing that you had to think too hard or know too much about the lore about. So that was the question of the week.
Nice. Well, I know we always love hearing and reading everyone's feedback.
I get a good chuckle out of a lot of them.
Yeah, there's some really good. Oh yeah, there's always one or two that are just amazing.
Or just hilarious.
I asked for a freaking timeline.
Or just
yes, Beard did ask for a timeline. I think he was like the second person to comment on the whole thing.
My left kidney for a timeline, please, Riven.
I was going to let that one go, Beard, but since you brought it up.
No, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up.
I just love that he knows he has the organ ready for donation if you will just give it to him.
Just I understand that I've got 2 kidneys. You can have one. It's fine. But
what would a giant Ahamkara want with a kidney?
I don't know. It makes wishes, for God's sake. It could do what it wants with the kidney for all I care.
Okay.
So, talking about wishes, and obviously, let's run through the intro.
I've broken blue.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's run through the intro, and then we'll get into it.
All right.
In our last episode of Focus Fire Chat, we discussed the man they call Cade. If you ever miss an episode and would like to catch up, please be sure to check out FocusFireChat.com for archives, articles, and links to the other aspects of Focus Fire Chat. If you don't mind, please rate and, if you can, review the show on iTunes, Podbean, or whichever podcasting app you use to enjoy podcasts. Reviews are extremely helpful as they not only let us know what we can do better, but help us stay up on the charts, which helps others find our amazing community. To those of you who have already taken the time to leave us a review, thank you. As many of you already know, Focus Fire Chat is a cross-community gathering where the intent is to offer a week-long in-depth view of a particular subject from within the lore of Destiny and other games. This chat begins every Tuesday morning and runs until the following Tuesday, with topics decided by the group via a poll that begins every Friday and ends on the Tuesday morning of the new chat. Every Friday, at around 10 p.m. Central, we get together to stream a high-level summary of the previous week's chats for those who were unable to participate. Please be sure to also give some support to the other podcasts in the Guardian Radio Network, links of which can be found on our website. If you're a fan of lore in all its various forms, be sure to also check out thelorenetwork.com, where you can find a wide variety of some amazing content that covers a number of different titles and mediums. Our next chat is going to be a discussion on the updated information that we have about the Great Hunt. Note that there will not be a poll this weekend as we are going to be taking the week off for Thanksgiving. With all that being said, here is Green with a high-level summary of tonight's topic.
Be careful what you wish for. This trope is so common within literature and many franchises. The idea to be able to wish for anything that you want is so tempting, so intoxicating that you would be remiss not to take advantage of it. Yet, just like Midas, what you wish for may be just as detrimental to you as it is enriching. Mara Sov designed the wish wall to help mitigate between herself and Riven. The wishes include many common things that Guardians may ask for. Some wishes were things that the community petitioned from Bungie themselves, and thanks to Mara Sov, we are able to receive these wishes without any consequences. Or did we?
Before we jump into the information and thoughts that the community had about the Wall of Wishes, however, let's have a quick chat about this week's Lost Lore. All right, so this week I figured it would be a good time to kind of take, actually I did not plan for that, but it ties into Green's summary pretty nicely, and kind of talk about wishing from almost a psychological point of view, why it is such a addicting thought process, and actually sometimes in many cases dangerous. So basically, I'm kind of calling this like a little bit of the dangers of a wish. And this is, again, kind of coming from a psychological point of view. So in reality, talking about why it may be that, humanity in general is kind of, for lack of a better word, addicted to the thought of just wishing our problems away. So really quick, just before we really get into it and kind of to walk through it as well, I want to kind of go through a few terms that are needing to be clarified for purposes of this piece. And that is because in this particular examination of the idea of a wish, the words are going to use the colloquial definition, but it's also going to kind of build on it from a philosophical point just a little bit. And the first term that I really want to make sure that we define is the idea of what is a desire. So a desire is something that can be defined as wanting to feel, to have, or to do what is not presently felt, had, or done. Note here that desires can be about anything. We desire material goods such as cars, houses, a good meal, or anything like that. But we also desire immaterial goods such as relationship with others, acceptance, happiness, success. The line between material and immaterial desires is not always a hard and fast one. You can physically desire another person in a large part because of the love that you have for him or her, and physical desire may also increase love. So desire can actually increase when we want more than what we presently have, and it can, and we have seen it, decrease when we no longer have no longer want what we already have. So there's kind of an interesting relationship there. There's a psychologist by the name of William James that made the point that there is always going to be a gap between the wanting and the having. Now, this is an interesting tie-in actually into next episode. There's a concept called the anthem anathema, which is going to be discussed in far greater detail. Actually, I'm kind of a spoiler alert. I believe I'm going to actually use that one for our Lost Lore next episode. Because it is a very, very important component within not just the wishing component of the Ahamkara, but also kind of the catalyst for the Great Hunt. So James points out in our world, right, in reality, that there's always going to be a gap between what one wants and what one has. And in many cases, this gap is transversal, right? You can actually kind of achieve what you want. However, that gap can actually increase if you don't pay attention to the strength and the direction of the desires and how those desires fit with what you already have. So really what you need to do is you need to pay more attention, so what will happen often is in a situation where that gap reaches an untransversable length or depth or whatever you want to call it, and it actually creates a problem, what happens is that you start paying more attention to what you want rather than what you have. And that will actually sometimes and often lead to what is identified as a dissatisfaction in your reality that really will only continue to grow because it's a downward negative spiral. And so that's kind of desires, and that's kind of the danger of letting a desire kind of get out of balance. That brings us to the next term that I really want to talk about, and that's wishing. Which is going to be kind of an important component of this episode in general. But what we mean when we say wish is when we wish, we wish when what we desire is accompanied by a sense that it cannot be attained or achieved. So this is in a situation where that gap between the wanting and the having is too great. It is not transversible. Then we wish. So it's often seen as being the sense that one cannot realize, and here I mean make realize their desires. So there are all sorts of reasons why someone's desires cannot be met, and to be clear, not all those desires are created equal. It's different for every single person. The problem begins when the reasons for something not being met or achieved have to do with me or what's in my control. And this kind of ties into actually what I would define as the actual danger of wishing, because those problems become even bigger troubles because when your wishes get wrapped in expectation and those expectations start taking over, your focus becomes less on what you're doing and more on what you deserve. In reality, this is why a person who is stuck in a wishing paradigm is in danger of breaking from reality. They become a victim in their own world. In fiction, however, this actually is increased by the fact that wishes can be granted. You have genies, you have ahamkara, what have you. And this wishing paradigm actually gets encouraged, and it actually starts being conditioned that this is the way to warp their reality. And William James will go on to kind of talk about this a little bit, but the problem here is that when you can actually wish your reality or wish your desires into reality, you stop wanting to will your desires into reality. And the reason why that's important is that because if you put on the lens, what's called the lenses of I deserve, in air quotes around I deserve, if you put on the I deserve lens, you basically are saying that you are unable to clearly see the relationship between your inaction and your desires not being met. And so many times you will actually fail to recognize that your own inactions are actually, in many ways, a major part of your desires not being met. And that actually brings us to what I was just talking about, the difference between willing and wishing. When an individual wills, they recognize that they are in a position to actualize the thing that they desire. To will, by definition, requires action. When we will, we believe that we can achieve what we desire, and then therefore we take action to achieve that. So to will for something is to recognize that that gap between wanting and having is traversable, and then you take the action necessary to traverse that gap. In many cases, willing is the necessary condition to actualize and realize the desires one has. However, it is important to note that it is, to be clear, not simply a matter of one's will alone being enough to actualize some of these desires. In reality, there are many factors which are outside of our individual control. So you have to not assume that the realization is merely dependent on your will, because all you're going to do if you do that, if you make that assumption, is you're going to get very frustrated, and you're going to actually get what's referred to as your situational resentment. And that is actually kind of where I'm going to start to kind of wrap it up, because basically what that is that tension, that frustration and resentment is a major underlying reason that you need to recognize what is and is not within your control. Because then by realizing that, and this kind of ties back into the last couple episodes when we were talking about the characters who are being honest with themselves, by realizing what is and is not within your control, you can then turn around and calibrate your expectations and your desires and act accordingly. Now, this is complicated in fiction, because again, in fiction, wishes are legitimately capable of being granted. In reality, wishes are, for just simplicity, wishes don't really get granted. You can wish on something, but if you spend too much time wishing on something and you don't do anything about it, you're gonna in reality probably not achieve that. Whereas in fiction, and coming back into Destiny with like the Wall of Wishes, wishing, if you have access to, I don't know, an ahamkara, you can actually realize those wishes. Now, the danger here, and I'm starting to tread kind of into the anathema and my conversation for next week. The danger here is getting addicted to the ease of which that is to bring those desires into reality, because you don't want to get addicted to that, because then you will start creating a reality in which there is no connection between what is real or what is realized and what is done within reality to achieve that. And that's where there's a bit of a paradoxical tension, if you will, between the situation there. But yeah, so I guess that is really kind of what I've been thinking about this past week, within regards to the Wall of Wishes.
There are a lot of psychological tools, or even new age tools that are out there that helps you what's called manifesting your will. Do you remember The Secret from a few years ago?
God, yeah.
The book The Secret. That's the one that comes to mind. And I know that it's a new age thing, and so take it with a grain of salt, but the concept of the thing it does teach that I find helpful is what Blue was saying, is that once you have something that is like a realistic thing that you can go out and get, it teaches you how to plan and take those steps to go get it, not just wish.
Yeah, and I mean, here's my, I haven't read The Secret, so I'm not really familiar with all of the qualifications within it, but the important qualification that, to be blunt, a lot of New Age thought process doesn't really stress is that you have to be realistic in some of your desires. Like it's, and that kind of goes back into the realization of what is actually within your control. Like there are some things that are just out of a person's control. You know,
and there's something to be said about having big dreams too.
Right. No.
There's nothing against that.
No, they're absolutely not. But you also need to recognize that the larger the dream, you know, the more possible that those dreams might not get achieved. Or or they're going, if they do get achieved, it's gonna take a lot of work. What appears to an outsider point of view as luck, air quotes around luck there, is most of the time not luck. It's a lot of behind the scenes and very quiet struggling, a lot of failure that you don't see, and a lot of just missteps that they just overcome, and a lot of tenacity. So that's my qualifier. When people say New Age, I know I kind of brush it off easily.
There are
which is not fair. It's not 100% fair on me, but or fair of me to do that, because I do recognize that there are a few concepts that they teach that is accurate. I just think you have to be careful. It's just like anything else. You have to be careful.
Right.
You have to to touch on a debate that's been going on Twitter right now. You have to vet out what you buy into.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But moving from lost lore into actual topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think that actually is a great idea to kind of start with an introduction of what is the Wall of Wishes.
So the Wall of Wishes is a location within the raid at the very beginning of the raid. You could load into it by yourself. I have actually done this multiple times so I can go get all my wishes, because my raid team, I have not been able to raid lately. So you load into the raid, you go to the very first wall, which is a taken-looking wall, and you hear the voice of Riven. Fun fact, voice of Riven can be a multitude of characters. Some of us have heard Ikora or Zavala. I've heard the Siren of Riven before. I've heard a couple different characters. Then there's a little secret door that opens up on the left-hand side of the wall, and this is through the entrance in the Dvalian Mist, like you're going to the Blind Well. To the left, immediately, there you can even see it in patrol, there is a piece on the wall that looks like it's not supposed to be there. It rotates, and it opens up a little secret passageway to the raid. You don't get to go through the Taken Blight wall, you have to go through this little doorway on the left. There's a slight jumping puzzle, and then the very first door to get to... I'm trying to remember who the very first one is. It Kali? That's the first?
Yes, that's correct.
So, there you go in there, you go towards like you're going to Kali. Instead of going to Kali, you go back towards the back, and there is a pool on the ground of deadly water, essentially. And you have to jump around and up. And then there is a wall after you kind of do the little jumping puzzle up and around that has a bunch of discs. And it is, I believe, 5 across and 4 down of these discs.
20 on the wall and then 1 on the floor.
Right. So the 20 on the wall are the ones that you deal with at the very beginning. The one on the floor is basically your enter button. You shoot each of the discs, or to whatever type degree you need to make the pattern that you're trying to accomplish. Each shot, if you're taking your time, if you shoot it rapidly, they won't change very quickly, by the way. If you take your time and shoot each disc at a steady pace, it will change icons. There's a variety of icons. There are some hilarious names for all these icons. These are the same icons you use later in the raid. Once you get your pattern to match up with the plates that we're going to talk about, probably here coming up a little bit later, then you press the enter button. The enter button grants your wish, and depending on which wish you make, you'll have either immediate effects or effects that you'll be able to go and retrieve in the raid. That is essentially what it is. Did I leave anything out from that, guys?
I think my one of my things that I kind of took away, other than the just absolutely hilarious names that the Australians have provided for these icons.
Oh my god. Some of them we cannot say.
You are an amazing individual.
Oh my god. We can't say them on our show, unfortunately, but
there's 16 different images, right? And yeah, I know you mentioned that, but
yes,
there are evenly distributed among fish, snake, dragon, and birds.
Yes.
So there's 4 of each, which I just kind of find the symmetry there is very, very symmetrical use of images. Is I think what my brain was trying to say, even though my mouth was saying symmetry.
Those 16 images become very important when you get to actual Riven encounter.
Right. No, and correct, yes. But I kind of just thought that it was interesting that it's 4 of each. It's not like the random, like it's not just like random icons, which shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody who's interacted with Bungie for more than about a week. But I did want to make sure that gets called out as well. And there are currently 14 known combos.
Yes.
I don't think anyone's solved the 15th one, right?
Well, we haven't found the disc yet. And some of the discs have been kind of challenging to find. I think the last one, I'm worried that the last one we won't find until the curse is broken. Ironically, which would
make kind of sense given the difference that one has between the other 14.
Right. We don't know a ton about where or what's going on, but with that one in particular. But as far as the rest of the wishing wall things, we can get into the wishes themselves. I'm actually going to visit the wishing wall right now because it is kind of a fun little room.
And I know you said that it can, for mechanic purposes, excuse me, for mechanics purposes, you can get to it solo.
Yes.
I also note that you can input as many wishes as you want.
Correct. Now, that being said, there are wishes that will teleport you towards later parts in the raid. You wouldn't necessarily want to do those at the same time as everything else, because you will teleport forward and you would not be able to finish the rest of the wishes that you're wanting to do. So if you're going to do that one, do it last.
Right.
And there's a couple of them that do that.
Yeah, and then, chat Dino in chat says that the individual who data mined the 10th wish just did confirm that wish 15 doesn't have a plate. It's going to be like wish 3. It won't be in-game.
Okay.
So that'll be an interesting thing
to figure out,
because wish 3 was, well, I guess wish 3 was, it wasn't really in game, but it wasn't out of game because it was in the cutscene, right? That was
right.
That was on the Titan shield.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Just died. No.
So, but yeah. So real quick, I'm trying to think. I don't know. The Helm of the Great Hunt is the entry really that kind of gives a pretty good summary on the purpose of the wall. Do either Beard or Green, either of you want to read that one real quick? Green, I know you're probably indisposed at the moment trying to get to the wall.
I can do it. Or if you really want Beard to read the next one.
Yeah, all right. Why don't you take the helm and then we'll let Beard read the really important one that we have up next.
Really important one, they say.
AKA, we're setting Beard up.
Yeah.
Hint. Winky wink.
This was Blue's idea, by the way, not mine. I will not be. Anyway. So, Helm of the Great Hunt. I wish to be strategic. The Queen would like to improve her means of bargaining with me. She has implied that I use the space between worlds to make bargains to my advantage. How dare she? She knows me so well. What the queen wants, the Techian move worlds to obtain, and so the witches devise an impossible machine that speaks a visual language with very few spaces between its words. The machine speaks wishes, makes bargains. The Wall of Wishes it is called. If the Techian's design proves correct, it will be difficult for me to interpret wishes made at the wall to my advantage. But challenges entice me. I look upon the wall, upon the witch's visual language for bargains. For me, it is a menu of delights to feast upon. Riven is creepy. I love it.
So real quick, yeah. Individual speaking is most likely, 95, 99% sure this is Riven. The queen that is mentioned is Mara. Mm-hmm. So Marasov, and then the witches and the Techuan are, Shirochi and her group, the coven of Techuans that we've seen throughout. I think actually, Shiro's back. We rescued Shiro. Yep. So, really, I don't really have much else to kind of. It's right
the purpose
there.
Of the,
it's
the
simple.
purpose
It's
of the
simple,
wall
but
is to keep Riven from manipulating the wishes, essentially, taking your wish to an extreme advantage. The Midas wish.
Exactly. I was about to say this is just like the mythology of the Jinn or Midas. Actually, a lot of the Greeks mythology that deal with wishes have this as well. There's the explanation of where grasshoppers come from, for example. I can't remember the guy's name, but the sea goddess that he fell in love with wished to Zeus that he would be immortal so that he could live forever with her. And Zeus was like, okay, cool, done. Well, they forgot to mention that he should probably stay young. So he was immortal, and he became a grasshopper because he just aged and aged and aged and aged and aged. And similar to Midas, Midas touch didn't. It was all great.
The way he wanted to.
It was all great and good until he
turned his daughter.
I was about to say until he went to give
golden...
his family a hug.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, it's pretty straightforward, simple, but there's a few little tricks and cracks in the wall that Riven might have discovered. But speaking of cracks in the wall,
no.
there.
So
that was awful. That was the worst transition you've ever made.
That was a terrible transition.
Try again.
I was gonna go with how Mara shot the wall, but
oh my gosh, Beard,
just go, Beard, just go.
You might as well get it over with. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Okie dokie. This, if you don't know, is the mark of the Great Hunt. I wish to be feared. Mara stared at the Wall of Wishes. She had no more bargains to make. Her plans were in motion. There was nothing left but the wait. She pulled a sidearm from a hidden holster and cracked 12 rounds into the wall. The cosmic balance shifted. Somewhere in the dreaming city, Riven heard the Queen's wish, and 1,000 shrieking tears in reality cut through the space in front of her. Lord Shack suddenly blocked Mara's view of the wall. Yes, and we'd all be dead! He was screaming at no one with a mug of caffeine in his fist. He started, almost spilling his coffee. Where are we? Mara slapped the mug out of his hand. It shattered on the floor. She shoved a weathered book in his face. I told you there would come a time when I collect for the Reef Wars. Read this. Out loud. No one tells me what to do, he said, grabbing the book and incinerating it in a bolt of striker lightning. I can recite the Tempest by heart. And he did. Morris sat and listened. He stayed for a long time. The helmet stayed on. And this is where Beard just ups and leaves the channel.
AKA, this is the card that's been driving Beard crazy for the last 2 months now. Since Liz discovered this card in particular.
I don't really even want to talk about it.
I'm kind of curious. What would be hilarious is if the 15th wish is this.
No.
If not, hear me out. Not like the whole innuendo going on with this.
I don't have to hear you
but
out
just
on this one.
Shaxx reading the Tempest throughout the raid. Like, we have the Drifter dialogue, we have failsafe dialogue, but getting Shaxx to read the Tempest as we're going from parts in the raid to... Oh my gosh, that would make me so happy. Although the Tempest is really long.
And it's
so
really
not
not that, like, I don't... Yeah,
interesting. No, it's not.
The Tempest is like, of all the things, I don't know.
Just goes to show that Shaxx really isn't that much of an interesting cat. I mean, come on.
He's well read.
But is he? But so wait, so he's a cat, confirmed?
Oh God.
Sorry, that was for Jake.
If anybody's a cat right now, it's me with how I really don't enjoy this.
We love you.
Sure.
So does.
This is why you keep making me do crazy things.
You somewhat enjoy this secretly.
You somewhat enjoy this secretly.
If it's a secret, is it really enjoying then? Like, carry on.
So the one after that, Blue. Do you want to read that one?
Yes.
Greaves.
The Greaves. So this is actually Leona Brill reflecting on the wall. So this is after it's been constructed and complete. It says, "I wish to be immovable, so the dreaming city would have a wall too." Leona Brill stared up at rows of blank circular plates with dread. This one was more valuable than everything behind the wall of the last city, and not nearly as defensible. The tower has asked for help in its great hunt. If the Vanguard knew that the help the Queen rendered came at the behest of the Ahamkara, armies of Guardians would storm the reef. So, they will never know. The Guardians brought this on themselves. The bargains they made and the power and knowledge they gained was equivalent to the chaos wrought on the system by Whispers. The Queen was glad to help them clean the mess if it meant Riven would be the last living Ahamkara. Power is useful. Unique power, more so. Leona wasn't sure if she was as glad as the Queen. So, and again, this is, excuse me, this is another one that we will probably definitely revisit next episode. Yeah.
Or 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this also places, I know Beard was wishing for something a little bit more timeline-y number-wise, but we do get a bit of a timeline in this, in that this is before the Great Hunt, which we do know takes place roughly within the early City Age or early mid City Age. So the last city has been constructed. The wall is known. There's a few little tidbits within here that we do can pick up and kind of use to start kind of creating a little bit of order out of the chaos. Not much, but a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much for me the only pieces that I can. I'm struggling. Leona Brill was a paladin. So am I remembering that correctly?
Oh, gosh. I did not look that one up.
I know. I just realized that I did not have. Hang
I
on
will
real quick.
look it up.
Yes, she is one of the Vestigian Guard paladins.
Aha.
I believe the command. She's one of the. Royal Armada paladins. She serves along with Abra, Kamala, and Hallam.
Yep. Then we have the very last one that we're going to talk about this week, which really just mentions Riven specifically. And the city, Gauntlets of the Great Hunt.
Yeah, and this one ties into the helm a bit, too.
Yeah, a tiny bit. I wish to be indestructible. I am Riven. My work on the Dreaming City is complete. I have done everything the Queen asked of me. But this is a bargain. I did so much more than that. The Queen and her ilk will not understand for some time, though I think the Queen can see the signs. What I carved into the small corners of the Wall of Wishes itself. This will be a beautiful city, but not a safe city. Because Riven is sneaky. What this makes me think, though, is that Riven, even though the Techyuns built the Wall of Wishes,
Riven jacked with it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Which I keep going back and forth because isn't that kind of cheating? I mean, I know I realize that doesn't matter, but
so the room itself has some architecture, and they're behind the wall of plates. There's one of those like death pools, as well as, if I remember correctly, and I just left there and it should be still in there, amethyst, which amethyst is kind of an important jewel when it comes, if we're going to talk like mysticism and stuff like that. It's kind of an important jewel in that fact, as well as conducting and muting things. But I don't know, it doesn't, there's nothing in that room in particular that seems off, which I'm sure is by design, if there is anything specifically in that room. But I don't know. Some of, like, so far we've had wish to be indestructible, wish to be precise. I mean, all the great hunts. Yeah, and
the gear has different wish, because I was trying to match them up, because there's 15 pieces of gear and there's 15 wishes, but they don't match up.
No, they don't.
Spoiler alert.
I don't think these are by other guardians, though, or at least is what it looks like.
I was also trying to connect those, and I really couldn't find a easy way to connect them, to be fair. Because, and again, we're going to be talking about this quite a bit. Sorry, I'm flipping through pages because I have it down to talk about next week. I have them parsed out. The vast majority of the wishes that you see on the Great Hunt, which is the Last Wish raid gear, is the vast content is really kind of talking about Riven, actually. Riven, and so the main one is Riven, and then Eris, and then Mara, and Tetchuans in general. Eris has got 5 pieces, and then Riven actually has 7 pieces. The wishes for Riven is to be strategic, indestructible, wise, ruthless, lethal, sure-footed, and respected. Eris is daring, precise, cunning, swift, and renowned. The only ones that I have note for Mara, excuse me, is because Mara shares one with Eris. That's the mask. Sorry, so the other one is the mark, which is to be feared. Then the Tetchuans have the greaves and the plate, which is immovable and brave. However, if you look at the Wall of Wishes that we have access to for the combination codes, the wishes really, really quick, and we're going to come back to these, so don't worry if I go through these pretty quick, are addiction, validation, celebration of success, athletic and elegant, promising future, moving hands of time, helping a friend. You got 4 wishes to stay here, and then open your mind to new ideas, feeding an addiction, and then love and support. So there's not a lot of crossover, if you will. the actual guardians that are mentioned within the raid gear actually lie within the weapons, which again we're going to be talking about quite a bit next episode, because that's where we actually get a bunch of new information about the Great Hunt itself. So yeah, there. I was gonna try. I was trying, like I said, I've been trying to connect the dots on the Great Hunt gear with the Wall of Wishes, and
I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, I don't.
I think they're separate wishes.
I think
honestly.
they are as well. I do think as well, because we aren't interacting with the wishes that are on the armor. We are interacting with the wishes on the wall, as is seen by the fact that those will actually manifest an award to the player who inputs those, right?
Right. So I have Spinfoil about this, that I want to save until the very end, I think. Spinfoil on the wishes, and our wishes in particular. But do we want to actually go into our wishes?
Yeah, let's go through those really quick. Or not quick, but let's just walk through them.
I do have I can't think of the guy's name who made this infographic initially.
The awesome one.
Yeah, it was on Reddit is where I found it, and I cannot remember this guy's name. So
his username, the username that's quoted on the image that you sent me is Tiredness.
There we go.
So that's username on Reddit. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Should we link it in the show notes possibly for people?
Most definitely link it in the show notes for everyone.
Awesome. I linked it in our show notes for that as well. If you guys need to reference it at all, it has a lot of information on it, as well as the wish diagrams as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have 14 wishes that we know so far. Some of them are quite a bit more complicated as far as patterns go than others.
I mean, I'm a big fan of wish number 9. That's a really complex one.
Really?
Failsafe is really special.
God, she's so funny though. She's so flippin' funny. Like, okay. Anyway, let's go through them in order so I don't get sidetracked. Blue, do you want to go through it, or Beard, or we can talk about it as we go?
Yeah. Sorry. So number 1 is, like I mentioned, number 1, the wish is to feed an addiction. And this is actually one of it's not a super complex one, but it is one that looks like one of the more involved ones to populate.
It takes a lot of ammo.
Oh, right. I guess we didn't mention that. In order to activate the buttons, plates, whatever you want to call them, you have to shoot them. So you organize, you shoot you shoot the wall and activate that, and then that's where you get green. Correct me here. And then once you have the combination in, then you step on the plate on the floor.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
fun fact, I believe that the raid has a mechanic that will refund you your ammo eventually, like the primary ammo.
Nice. That would be useful, especially some of these look like they're pretty intense.
Yeah. Right. Anything with birds takes forever to do, because birds are the last in the series.
This plate was located, it was in the Shattered Throne, right after an ogre fight. And the effect that this one does, or the I guess the wish that is granted, is that it gives you an ethereal key that you can use in the raid treasure room, and I believe that is at the very end of the last wish raid.
So after you run the Heart of Riven back and slam it into the bowl, then all the chests will appear in the basically like the trophy room afterwards. Oh, and there's lots and lots of chests to choose from. And if you're lucky and have RNG, like some people I know, you'll get 1,000. What is it? 1,000 voices. Anyway, wish 2.
Wish 2 is for a wish. Excuse me. Wish 2 is a wish for material validation, which I believe is, validation. And this one was actually located in the raid. It was on the ceiling that you could see before you got to the encounter with Riven. And what this one does is it will spawn a chest between what is referred to as the third and fourth encounters, which is Morgeth, the Spire Keeper, and the Vault, if I remember that numbering correctly.
Yeah, between the Ogre and the rooms with Penumbra and Antumbra, it is off to the, if I'm remembering correctly, once you get past Morgeth, it's kind of up on top of a spire type natural formation, and you can climb up there and get the chest all the way up there. But there's so far, so defeat an addiction, we're addicted to loot, aka material validation, also addicted to loot, aka, I mean, some of these so far are pretty accurate for what our Guardians would want. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I mean, and in that line, actually, the wish number 3, which we had mentioned previously, was actually not in quote unquote in game. This was actually on the cutscene for the new Dreaming City with the Titan shield. This is the wish to have others to celebrate your success. And the effect on this one is actually the appropriately named Numbers of Power emblem. So I believe, is this the one that I believe you have to be in close proximity to the Wishmaker, or is that the effect? Or the flare.
The flare?
The flower crown.
I don't know. No, I don't. This one I think is the emblem, and I actually have this emblem on.
Right. No, yeah. This is an emblem, but is it your entire raid team with you gets it, or do you have to be in the room when it's cast?
I'm actually not sure, because when I popped this one, I was alone, so
okay.
I can't validate that one way or the other. It's a pretty emblem. It's kind of that awoken purple with a what are those things called, where it's like gears that you put together and you stick a pin in the hole and you do the little pattern. It's what it reminds me of. I can't think of what those are called. Yeah, like cogs.
Right. You mean gyrosphere?
Sure. I
can't the thing that you put a pin in and it makes the swirlies
patterns. Yeah. That's what this is. That's what it kind of looks like to me, at least. It's pretty. I actually wear it most of the time now. It doesn't have any sort of tracking effect. It literally is just a pretty emblem.
It's just to give you others to celebrate your success with.
That you went into the raid by yourself and unlocked it. 2 thumbs up. All raid team members get it according to Wicked. Good to know.
Man. So that brings us to number 4, which is a wish to look athletic and elegant. This was another one that we actually got within the raid. This was located after the bridge, or after the large bridge before the second encounter. So this is right before Shuro. And actually the effect is to warp you to the second encounter, which is Shuro. Note here, and I believe this is correct, that this will require a team wipe. So this wipes the team and then teleports you to that encounter.
Yes. Yep. Which, honestly, the first encounter is not difficult, but if you're trying to save time, I can see why people would use these.
Yeah.
The
and
teleport ones.
To clarify, Shuro, this is Shuro Key the Corrupted. So this is prior to the campaign events where we save her.
Oh, prior to the strike?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. The strike.
I wouldn't be able to tell you for certain one way or the other on that, because at the end of that strike, she talks about how she could be taken again.
Oh, that's convenient.
I'm gonna say the curse. Anyone?
Oh yeah,
Also
I guess
that.
that's true. That's also convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Oh, sorry, chat is correcting me. Setia is the one that I'm thinking of in the strike.
There you go.
Thank you, chat.
Shuro is just the raid. Shuro and Callie.
Yeah.
Callie's the first one. Shuro's the second one, I believe.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Which will bring us to wish number 5, which is a wish for a promising future. So again, this was a plate that was found within the raid. There was a period of the raid when you're in the Ascendant Realm following the Cherokee encounter. That's where this plate was located. The effect on this one will actually teleport you to the third encounter, which is Morgeth the Spire Keeper. What's the nickname for him? Is
there's a couple of them.
Swolgoroth? Yeah,
Swolgoroth. Essentially, in that encounter, you are fighting this ogre for taken power, essentially. And the more taken power he gets, the more big he gets. And kind of disgusting, because he's got boils that are pulsating with taken energy. It's a fun encounter. It's actually probably my favorite encounter in the raid. It's not terribly difficult as far as like mechanics, but it's still challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the introduction.
Satisfying.
I was about to say that was the introduction of. It wasn't just the. Because he does. Oh, I just blanked on the mechanic. Because not only do you steal it, he actually has a debuff, right? That stacks.
Where
intervention, something.
Where you basically are locked down, and the person somebody who has to get an Eye of Riven has to come and cleanse the location of where you're at and take your stack from you. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do, but once you get it down, it's not too bad.
Yes. Yeah. Because that taken intervention, affliction. So that will take us actually to wish number 6, which is to move the Hands of Time. Again, plate was located within the raid. This was actually before the elevator to the vault, so following Morgeth. And the effect here is to warp or to teleport the team to the 4th encounter, which is the vault. And the vault really is just a lot of unlocking, a lot of trying to pick a lock.
It's picking a lock, but also there's a lot in this raid that depends on team communication. A lot more, I would say, than Taken King or even Wrath of the Machine. You have to be able to communicate and decipher. Like, everybody on the team needs to know what's going on. You can't run the vault without people understanding where things are coming from, what direction somebody needs to run. It's an interesting one. I know that the vault, during the raid release day, the vault was the most difficult thing that people got stuck on as far as like the higher level raid teams that were high enough light level. You cannot just DPS check it. You have to be able to do the mechanics.
Well, because the mechanics are to prevent the vault security mechanism from activating. Which, do you think that ties into... So this one and number 5, where do you think that the wishes tie into it?
This one and number 5, as far as like...
So like, how does a promising future for transporting you to Morgeth and then moving Hands of Time transports you to the vault?
As far as like Spinfoil, just off the top of my head?
Sure.
I mean, the vault functions somewhat like a clock in the rotation of things in some respects, but I don't know if that has...
I know that the security mechanism is a hard time limit. Like there is a set time to it.
There is a time restriction for sure. But I don't know if that is in relation to the wish itself. As for a wish for a promising future, I don't know. I mean, you're preventing Morgoth from acquiring too much taken power. And there's a time limit essentially on that as well, because once he hits taken power times 10, you're going to wipe.
Fair enough. I was just curious because the first three were pretty easy to kind of pair up. And then I guess the next one is kind of it's also going to be kind of an odd one. This is a wish to help a friend in need, which I kind of think this is kind of a slight. I take this as a slight nod to helping someone run the raid the first time, because this one is the one that is the plate location is inside Riven's jumping puzzle, and the effect is to warp or to teleport the team right to Riven.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I read that as kind of like, yeah, this is just a quick run through the raid.
Well, yeah. Even though you get to Riven, that doesn't
mean fair, but
yeah.
I mean, you skip all the previous pieces and go right to the last.
Also, if Riven's the one dictating what these are called, that is another thing to contemplate. Like, who actually named these? If we're going to go in game, did Riven name these? Because if that's the case, did Riven want us to take care of Riven to release the curse? More Spinfoil.
Yeah,
Beardo?
I mean, I don't know. I can go back both ways on this one, because this ties into also the Awoken of the Reef entries, where it talks about the creation of the lock and how the guardians are the key. Like, you know, it's I mean, so I can see this being designed for us to make wishes, and these are, like I said, literally kind of like I can see, like, you know, material validation. The next ones I can also see as well, like the To Stay Here Forever series. I can see Guardians kind of wishing those as well.
I'm gonna say the wall itself feels like more of an awoken creation than it does something manipulated by Riven. Whether she took advantage of what they created, of course, is the speculative point, which is at least somewhat kind of explained, I guess, throughout the cards,
and through the raid itself.
Yeah, which I have not experienced and probably never will. So in that regard, at least, I can say that what we have written, it's a little bit too close to just saying that it is going to be an awoken thing more than anything else.
There are a few voice lines in the raid where Riven talks about us basically fulfilling her wish with this. The other thing gets into my Spinfoil, which I'm still going to hold out on till the end, because I want to get through all the wishes before we get to that point, because that might spurn a little bit more debate.
That's fair. I mean, and these four are pretty much the, like, wish 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the ones that I can't quickly be like, oh yeah, this makes sense, because I'm like, and to be fair though, these 4 are specific to the raid. Well, I guess 13 technically.
A mechanic for raid.
Yeah, it's actually changing actual gameplay, because you're basically skipping through the raid. So those are like, it's just yeah. So I'm actually curious what your Spinfoil theory is on that one. But real quick, number 8 is the first wish to stay here forever. This was a plate that was located near Shirochi, outside of the raid, I believe. Correct? Not inside the raid.
I am actually not 100% certain on that one.
Okay. I believe this one was actually I want to say this was outside, but I can't. I don't have it written for me right now. So the effect. Oh, excuse me. The effect is to play the Hope for the Future,
which you can go into the Tangled Shore and go to the Fallen Club, and it'll play there too.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one of the songs that's on the track. It also plays during the very beginning of D2, and when we're running through the tower.
Yes.
And you're in the hangar. You can hear
just very slightly. Yeah.
The bar that we used to go and dance in from D1. If you're kind of in that same location, you can hear parts of it play. That's a fun little fact from way back when.
And then number 9 is the Next to Stay Here Forever Wish. This plate was located between the 2nd and 3rd raid encounters, so that would be between Shuro and Morgoth. There's a building between those two locations, and there's a plate there. And this is wish number 9, the infamous failsafe. As failsafe says, "Oh, I'm in your body now? Gross."
Gross. Yeah. Fun little thing about this, when failsafe or Drifter are with you, because Drifter's coming up too, they only talk in between encounters. So you're not going to miss anything while you're shooting things. They're not going to comment on anything.
Which is actually pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to hear Failsafe's reaction to a gunfight while she's in a body, I can also understand that.
Yeah, Failsafe says, "I'm the captain now." And she has some of the most... She's got some really disturbing lines in some of these different... Oh my gosh, she's just... Failsafe is an evil genius that will take over Destiny eventually. Convince me otherwise.
I forgot about the "I'm the captain now."
Mm-hmm. She's got a few of them.
Oh my gosh. So wish number 10 is again to stay here forever. This plate was actually located within the Cathedral of Scars. There's a cliff. I guess if you go around the cliff in the distance, there's a location there. And the effect here is to just the same as Failsafe. This one adds the Drifter voice lines to moments.
I have not experienced this one. I hear it's pretty darn excellent, though.
Yeah, because isn't this the one where he like starts commenting about how dumb you are?
Yeah, but he kind of always calls you dumb if you play enough Gambit.
Well, true. I can't speak to that, but yes.
If you're on the losing team, at least. But that one is...
Losing team, try harder.
Yeah, you suck. That is one of his
team, you suck! Just kidding.
Yeah, that's totally one of his lines. God, Drifter. He's a
losing team is awful.
I'm slowly loving. All right. But I don't think he says that during the raid. At least I kind of hope he doesn't say that during the raid.
Well, that's a shame if he doesn't.
Why? It's his catchphrase, I guess.
That's exactly why. It would be a shame if he doesn't.
Dino says that he does say it.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Good.
Now I have to go and do the raid again and have Drifter.
And then that brings us to what sounds like it's going to be my favorite one.
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was so much fun, but it is annoying after a while.
Wish number 11, which is the last to stay here forever. This plate's located on Nessus in the sunken cavern near the Vex portal, and the effect is the infamous Grunt birthday party effect. While you're in the raid, which for those of you who are not familiar with this amazing contribution by Bungie, this was a effect that they added back in the Halo days, which hence the name Grunt Birthday Party. Whenever you shot grunts and headshot killed them, or precision killed them, there was a small explosion, loads of confetti, and a small crowd going, "Yay!"
Now, in this one, I don't, if now this has been about a month since I ran the raid with this one, but there's no confetti.
Oh, that's like half the fun.
I know, but it does do the sound.
Which is amazing. I might have
And
that
it does
as
get
notifications on my
really,
phone.
really annoying when a team of 6 is shooting headshots in a room that is fairly small and your audio is slowly dying.
But it's the grunt birthday party.
It is
It's
great.
like
It's great.
like the best skull to activate in any Halo game. Oh man. Oh, that makes me so happy. Brings me to wish number 12, which I think wish number 12 is another one that's kind of a favorite of a couple people. This is a wish to open your mind to new ideas. This plate was located on Titan in Siren's Watch on the back of some random door, I believe. And the effect is that I think I saw chat reference this as the Fey Flower effect. This is the flare. This adds an effect to the heads of fire team members. And I think this one is the one that you have to be in proximity to the wish caster, or you have to be in the room to get it. But it's basically like a wreath of flowers.
It is the Nightfall, everyone begging for the Nightfall head effects to come back. This is Bungie's way of at least somewhat doing that. I know that we can get it in game now too, but this was the one I was thinking of whenever I mentioned in the summary of the community begging for something. This is what I think was their way to do that. Let's see here. The Petra runs next, isn't it?
Yeah, extinguish. So wish number 13 is a wish for the means to feed an addiction. This was located in the treasure room after opening all the chests in the raid. And the effect here is basically it unlocks Petra's Run, which is a version of the raid that allows you to activate an effect called Extinguish, which is basically it encourages the flawless run. What Extinguish does is it's basically nightfall effect on steroids. If any one of your team member dies within the raid, the entire team is sent back to orbit, and you have to start over.
So
yeah,
I spinfoiled this with
turbo extinguish.
I spinfoiled this with somebody the other day. Do you think Petra would, because this is called Petra's Run, that Petra took a team in and could do this, and because they're in some respects more they're mortal, that they would have to do it flawless, so this is their version of it, aka Petra is way more bad Balmajama than what we gave her credit for.
Either that or it's Petra's wish
to make Guardians mortal and have to bang their heads against the wall?
It's Petra's Run is what she wishes she could do.
Maybe.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also referring back to adding the failsafe and drifter voice lines, pulling different characters into encounters that they would not normally encounter. Petra, the only thing that I think would make it definitely one or the other is if you had Petra dialogue on top of the flawless mode. But I definitely see what you were saying, because I think that was in the Discord chat too. I definitely see what you're saying with that, because it does make sense. But I'm also I also thought this is something that this is in honor of Petra.
Right. I'd love to do a raid with Petra. That would be cool.
She does have a magical knife.
No, she's magical. The knife is just what it is.
I mean, you're not wrong.
She's a Techian. Well, she's
she's a Techian in training.
She was raised by him.
Right. She was meant to be a Techian, but she left.
Right. Precisely. Wish 14? No.
Trigger,
Wish 14.
Trigger in chat. Oh, anyways, wish number 14
Hmm.
is a wish for love and support. This plate was located in Mara's throne world, and this one will spawn corrupted eggs. The graphic that you say that you have says throughout the raid. The couple of places that I was seeing it says that it's just above the Kali encounter in a hidden cave. So I
I
don't know.
believe it's just above Cali
Okay,
is
okay.
what where I've seen it spawn, at least. And it's Kali again is the first encounter that you do.
Right, right, yeah, and that's one of those quote unquote indestructible eggs that you have to have Wish Ender, I believe, to destroy.
Which Wishender is it doesn't even you don't even have to have a fully drawn bow to make it pop the egg. It as soon as it touches it, it's gone. It could be even a wimpy shot.
Oh, okay. And sorry, Wish Ender for those who are not aware, Wish Ender is the bow that you get. That's the raid weapon bow.
It is from the Shattered Throne. The raid not a raid layer, the strike, that's like the 3-man
Oh,
strike that
okay.
is like a raid.
That is okay. Okay.
Because you go and you can do the full quest line in 1 week. I did not. I did it with the 3-week break. But when Shattered Throne is up, there is a point where you visit Sure Ido's statue and you get tokens and you have to charge the tokens and then you can go back at the end and basically turn them in to get the bow. I basically got carried through that a little bit because my plan is awesome. But yeah, it's not a difficult quest if you have a team that goes in with you. It is a incredibly difficult one if you go in by yourself because some of those encounters require a bit of extra gun power or a lot of patience.
To clarify, chat is saying that there are at least 5 eggs actually in the raid. Looks like there is one above each encounter.
Good to know. So the last one, the wish that basically this is a quote from Revenge, and she says, "This one you shall cherish," which is not ominous in the least bit, you psychotic Ahamkara. We don't know what this one is. It's not in game. It cannot be data mined. We have not found any of the plates. Now, the plates are kind of where I wanted to just talk about a little bit more because we didn't really describe them at the beginning. But the plates are they're basically bronze plates, exactly what it kind of sounds like a shield that have been located throughout the system, a lot of them in the raid itself, that have the patterns that you need to shoot for the wishing wall engraved on them. These did not show up until the raid was available. Correct? Anybody else?
I believe that is correct. I
So,
know that I know that raid secrets is on like a frenzy mode for 15.
right, which I don't blame them.
Oh no, neither do I.
Okay, so all these plates show up in all these different places. Some of them are related to the wishes themselves. Some of them are not. My spinfoil is because these did not show up until the raid was available, that Riven herself made these available, and that we are being baited to make these wishes in particular. And they are appealing because we're guardians and they're things that we would like to do or like to have come along, like Failsafe or Drifter or the Grunt birthday party, but that Riven herself is baiting us into using them, and that in some ways we're actually feeding into more of her plan. Simple spinfoil, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can I can see that. I was reading back through them just real quick. The first 3 again. Well, the first one, yes. Second one, Like if these were wishes of Riven's, is what you're saying?
No, 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 no. That Riven, that the wishes themselves are geared towards guardians, but that she's able to manipulate some aspect of it because
Mm-hmm.
she's the one who's designed these wishes for us, and that we are feeding into her plan or concept or whatnot with that. That the wishes themselves, when we make them, it doesn't do anything detrimental to us that we know of, because the effects that we see are the ones that are given on this diagram and what we see in Raid.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, we do die.
There's some that they're just
The ones in which you're like, I want to stay there forever, and all of a sudden, dead.
Right.
I don't know. I still got to fall back on my feeling that like the wall is way too much of an awoken creation. I don't hold much that Riven is there as the catalyst to being able to actually cause these wishes to happen. But I think that is about as far as it goes, in my personal opinion.
That's where I pull back on the Gauntlets of the Great Hunt that we read at the beginning.
where she cracks the corner.
Uh-huh. She's carved into the small corners of the wall itself. So it makes me think that they've written it in such a way that they could have Riven being a great orchestrator. Although, she's clever.
Right, and
we know that.
It goes back to the meaning of Riven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
to separate.
Split or crack.
Right.
Especially with regards to wood or stone.
Oh, that's a good thought that Lux just put in chat. I mean, we're all speculating on the wishes, on the last wish. He just put in, bet the last wish is Riven getting her wish made from the wishes we made.
Yeah, but that begs the question, though. Like, I mean, like some of them are very obviously easily loopholeable. Like, move the hands of time. That's like
right.
That's so open ended. It hurts me reading. Right. To open your mind to new ideas. Again, red flag, guys.
A wish to stay here forever.
Right. I mean, there's that. But like others to celebrate your success. I'm trying to think of how like these 14 could combined. I mean, first off, there's 4 of them that are literally the same. To
make you the most infamous thing within the universe. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, and the other thing too is that the wall or the wall of wishes could also just be a red herring.
Like the wall itself is a red herring?
Like everyone, yeah. I mean, basically, it's there to, it's just a straw man to.
It's just a mechanic.
Yeah, it's not actually got. I mean, like, I don't know how much I actually agree with that thought, but it is a thought. Is that we might just be reading too much into it.
Oh yeah, it's very possible. It's just a Spinfoil concept that I thought would be
right.
Interesting, considering the timing of things.
I mean, this is basically the equivalent of a game shark.
Right. It's the same.
Now that image is stuck in my head.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
No, that's I mean, that's better than some of the other images that could end up stuck in my head. So, it's not that bad. But yeah.
We've kind of come to the end of this one. It's a short book, to be sure.
Yeah, I don't even really want to call it. Yeah, sorry, Z in chat. Riven can also mean to distress or harrow one's feelings, heart, etc. Modern definition of riven is actually to split violently. The definition that I mentioned earlier, which is to split or crack, is actually, that's one of the archaic meanings of it. So your synonyms for like modern times is riven also can be torn apart, split, rent, severed. It's usually very violent. And actually, if I remember this correctly, I believe it was the Awoken of the Reef that we saw this. I think, it was the Awoken of the Reef. Riven took its name from the Riven Awoken people, which was the Riven between the Earthborn and the Reefborn Awoken.
Mara mentions to be Riven as well, and
Right,
Marasena.
Yes, yeah. So there's quite a bit of history with the concept of being riven within the Awoken, which is actually where Riven took its name. And to be fair, there also Riven was quarantined away from the Awoken people. Only Mara was able, and we'll definitely be talking about this next week with the anthem anatheme, because that was actually the reason Riven was kept separate from the Awoken people, because Mara was the one that she wasn't immune, but she had a very, 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 very strong
sense
defense.
Of control over herself.
Well, it was actually self-actualization. And again, we're going to get into this when we talk about the anthem next week or next episode. But she had a very minimal difference between what she desired and what she was. And basically, she really was nearly fully aware of what she was, and so she didn't really desire much. Or she didn't desire much in the way that she couldn't actualize it in and of herself, which is what Ahamkara feed on, is that tension, that friction. And so Riven was kept away from the general Awoken populace because Mara was basically the firewall between them and her and it. You saw a couple of mentions of different Ahamkara that were not kept away from the Awoken populace. The one that comes to mind immediately is Eao, which
should sound familiar.
Rip those warlocks. Yao was the one that you get the bones of Yao, which is the hunter jumping bones. And basically the story with that individual Ahamkara was that it slept among the Techuans, if I remember correctly, and it gathered their secrets and gathered their stories, and then it left and told it to warlocks, which the Awoken didn't take too kindly to, and so they went and killed Yao, and then killed all the warlocks that it spoke to. So, there was that little tidbit. Yeah, sorry, Dino, yeah. Sure actually was the one who killed Yao, and he did. Yeah, she did then sell his bones to a warlock.
Sure killed a bunch of things.
Yeah,
Ahamkara being
one of them.
Yeah. She was kind of a crazy good hunter. Not hunter as in guardian hunter, but like she hunts things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting idea about the resets
Mm-hmm.
that chat's having right now.
Right. I think we've had 4 resets at this point.
I still want to know what an Aphelion is. Sorry, sorry,
right.
everyone. Chat is going off on Shure's beastliness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of do agree with you, Green. I think we're at a pretty good stopping point. I don't know how much more we can go.
Tease.
I mean, yeah. If we keep talking, we're going to end up talking about the Great Hunt. So,
which is next time on Focus Fire Chat.
Last time on Focus Fire Chat. So yeah, any final thoughts on the Wall of Wishes?
Wish 15. once we figure that out, I think we're going to have a lot more questions come out of it than answers, as is always the case.
You're going to cherish it.
Oh, this one you shall cherish.
Riven of 1,000 voices.
Oh, we get an Ahamkara. Like a baby Ahamkara.
No, that's a terrible idea.
Yes.
That's a terrible idea.
Amazing idea. I want my own wish genie.
All I can think of
I just want a wish genie, and I'm going to fly, and I'm going to pet it, and its name's going to be Fred.
Oh my god. All I can think of is when I was playing D&D, and one of my DMs allowed me to have a pseudo dragon as a familiar.
Oh my god.
It was amazing. And I felt so bad for him because I don't think he realized what I was going to do with such a powerful creature. But anyways, so shoutouts. Beard, what do you got for us this week?
No, so I don't have much. So that's me.
Okay. Green, what do you have for us this week?
My shout out goes to actually my clan at the moment, Hydra on PlayStation. They have convinced me finally to get into the world of 1v1ing in Crucible, and I actually had a ton of fun with it. And I can honestly say that I am not utter trash at PvP now. So there's that. Yay, Hydra.
Do you hail Hydra?
They do. I refuse to say that. Because no. Nope, blue. Bad blue.
So wait. I have to ask, for all those curious at home, which one is Madam Hydra?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. All right. So shout outs for me this week. Again, want to give a huge shout out to everyone who participated in the celebration giveaway. We just, again, I mean, really appreciate the information that we got back from you guys. I'm going to try my best to kind of sift through it and see what we can actually get in place for you coming up in this next year. And as always, if you have ideas of something that we could do or something that we could do better, even if you want to talk to us about, hey, you need to put this topic on the poll, shoot us a message over in Discord or on our email, or we have a contact form on the website for that as well. We do actually have, for those of you who are, so WordPress allows for people to register to websites. And if you register on the websites, I believe that the forums that I have put on the website to help kind of start driving a little bit more fact-finding missions into episodes that have been passed. So the episode conversations are kind of pseudo-archived on the website in a forum fashion. If you are interested at all in doing that, I believe all it takes is for you to sync up your username on WordPress. If anyone's curious about that or interested in that, please, just give me a shout over on Discord, and we can explore that a little bit. But other than that, that's really kind of all I have this week. I hope everyone has who is celebrating Thanksgiving next week. I hope everyone has that. If you aren't, just know that we are thankful for your continued support and your interactions with us. And don't buy too much on Black Friday.
Please don't. Please don't.
All right. So, with that all being said, we're going to take off, and you guys have a great week and have a great week off next week. And then we will see you the following week. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. Links to our episode archives can be found at www.focusfirechat.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments or questions for our team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. Also, be sure to check out all of our amazing partner podcasts within the Guardian Radio Network over on theguardiansofdestiny.com. So until next time, focus your fire, and may your light shine bright.